or at YouTube as you go in, Buster his weekly bass video. The next video is going to be about two basses that I kind of customised myself. Starting with this one, it's a fretless bass. And why I did this is I didn't want to spend the money buying a purpose built fretless bass and then realise I didn't like it. So, and I'm not really a big fretless fan. So what I did was I had this guitar for 10 years. I think I paid about 30 quid for it. You'll find guitars on Gumtree, Facebook. If you want to do this for cheap, if you want to try a fretless, it saves you spending all the money on a fretless bass, purpose built one, to realise you don't like it. And if you're a bass player, you'll know reselling basses is hard. it's the money's no in a bass, unless it's a bass player you're selling to. The money's no in basses, because bass players have got a stigma as being didn't make it as a guitarist and they picked up bass because it's the only instrument they can play. That's no true. Well, I won't say it's no true, but 90% of the time, or 10% of the time, sorry should I say, it is, but 90% of it, bass players generally are bass players. So to resell a bass is hard. You don't sell for, you could buy a bass for 500 quid one day and put it on Gumtree, Facebook, or even resell it to another shop, and you're not going to get, even though that guitar's worth that money, you're not going to get that. You're going to get half the price because it's a bass. So if you don't want to pay the money for a fretless bass, then pick up a cheap bass from Gumtree, Facebook, somebody you know, and then just pull the frets out. But what you need to do with it is I did a guitar making repair course in Iceland, Glasgow, when I first came out of the army. So I learnt a wee bit from that. I'm not saying I'm brilliant, but I know enough for myself. And I always suggest as well, learn how to maintain your guitar, how to adjust the truss rod, and how to do your own action, because you can pay someone to do your own action and they'll get it close, but it won't be the way you want to play it. So I kind of learnt that. Plus when I started learning 20 years ago, maybe more than 20 years ago, guitar shops were rare, especially doing repairs, and if you did find one, very expensive to get repairs done or get anything done. So I kind of learnt myself through books and done the guitar making repair course when I was 21. So to defret a guitar, you think it might be easy just to put a pair of pliers and pull the frets. It's not that, it's not just as easy as that. Basically what you need to do is take the strings off. You need to level the board, which means you can get a specialised ruler that's got notches in it that will notch, that go over the fretboard. You can do, but if you're taking the frets off, you don't need to worry about that at that point. Just use a straight edge to make sure your board's flat. Get an old soldering iron and run the soldering on each fret and heat it up, because some guitar makers, not all of them, will glue their frets in. So if there is glue there and you pull the fret, you'll get pull out, which is called. And if you look at some frets of this guitar, which I'll show you kind of up close, I did get some fret pull there. I think I was getting a wee bit anxious and wanted just to do the job. So I did get a wee bit of fret pull. It's not noticeable when you just look at the guitar, but I notice it. Because why you don't want fret pull is once you pull the frets, you need to level the board. And once you level the board, so you sand the board with a flat. I've now got one, I've got a fret leveler, but I used an old level for putting up shelves and stuff. Double taped sandpaper, and I leveled the board, because your board might be kind of have a wave in it, especially if it's a cheap made guitar. So I used the straight edge, used the truss rod to level the fretboard so it was totally flat as I could get it, and then run the board over it. Then what I used, it used to be called catalloy, I still call it catalloy, but card body filler, and I filled the fret slots with body filler white. I mean, you could dye it so it's the same colour as your fretboard so you wouldn't notice it. Keep it the cream colour so you actually know where the frets are. So once I did that, I put a bevel back into the fretboard because you want a slight bevel, and a radius as it's called. So if your guitar fretboards normally would have a radius on it, so then I re-radiused the board, and then obviously you have to adjust the bridge, because if you adjust it with the frets on it, then it's a total different, so it's actually lower to the fretboard. The other thing you need to do as well is obviously retension the truss rod. Once you get the strings tensioned and tuned, retension it. You need to cut the nut slots slightly deeper, because it's obviously been made so the string runs over all the frets until you press on whatever fret you want. And because you've took the frets off and you don't need to put as much pressure on it, you need to recut the fret slots for the strings. Adjusting the saddles, put the radius in the saddles so the strings go at the same shape as the fretboard. To be honest with you, this did have flats on it. It's got round bounds on it now, but it did have flats sound a lot better on a fretless guitar bass. Surely because you get that upright sound. I did have another fretless one, and it was a P bass that I bought. Somebody made one, but it was a proper ebony. I've got pictures of it somewhere. Once I know how to edit, I'll put pictures in and stuff. It was ebony, it was a beautiful guitar, but fretless guitars only for me. So, and then I redone the action, so the action's low. You might get a wee bit of buzzing, but if you do it, if you just put up your saddles in increments, you'll get the radius and you'll get no fret buzz. So that's my fretless bass that I made. The body was obviously just stained and then varnished. It's quite rough. I've kept it kind of so it looked kind of natural, so it's got kind of dinks and choppiness to the board. So I didn't want it pure perfect. I wanted it kind of choppy, because it's just for messing about. So I like to hear what it sounds like. So it's a good idea if you don't want to spend the money on a fretless bass but you want to try one, buy a cheap one. Just buy a cheap one. There'll be videos on YouTube on how to actually pull the frets out, but as I said, you want to heat the frets up with an old soldering iron in case there's any glue so you don't get any pull out, and then just use Catalyte. There's a bass player, Jaco Pistorius, he did it with his Fender Jazz. He actually made copies of his guitar now. That's how he did it. Because he just, one night decided in his hotel room after a gig that he wanted a fretless bass. So he proceeded to pull the frets out, sand the fretboard down, and then fill it. And that, he ended up with a fretless bass. You get some funky sounds. The thing is, you need to remember with a fretless is when you're playing it, you actually need to play on the fret. So where the fret would be, where the lines are, you actually need to press on that to get the note that you want. If you press behind it, which you would normally play on a bass with frets, it's a different sound. It sounds out of tune, so you need to actually press on the fret. So where the line is, that's when you press to get the note that you want. And you can do some. That's because I'm playing it like it would be a normal bass. I'm playing between the frets, not actually on the fret, and it's really hard to get used to. really hard. So to save you money, go out and buying a fretless bass to realise that you can't get your head around it. It's like if you've learnt how to play a 4-string bass for all your days and then you try and move on to a 5-string bass, it messes with your head. It just sometimes it fries people's brains. It does. I've got a 5-string that I don't play very often, and the reason is the fact that it fries your brain. The strings are different. You've different spacing. This next guitar I'm going to show you, I'll show you another reason why this is a bit of kind of a head mucker upper, is the fact that the string spacing is really wide, so it's hard to get used to. Same with a fretless. So if you want to try fretless without paying the money, try and make one yourself. It's not that hard, but just try and get used to pressing where the fret should be rather than behind the fret to get the note. You actually need to press on where the fret is. It's just it's weird, but it's handy if you've just paid 20 quid for a guitar. That's, don't get me wrong, you need to make sure that I wouldn't worry about what the body shape is. I mean, I'm a P bass and jazz bass, that's the basses I like, so I wouldn't worry about what the body shape was like. As long as the pickups work, or you can get the pickups working, and your truss rod is good so you can level it and do your adjustments you want. You can always buy a different bridge. You can make it look nice if you want, but just to practice on a fretless, pick up a cheap bass, pull the frets, fill it with cat alloy or body filler, and then mess about it. And then if you like it and you like how it sounds, and if you can get your head around it and like the sound and add it to your bass collection, then go and buy yourself a proper fretless bass. Because I don't see the point in buying a bass that you're never going to play. I've got a cheek because I have got basses that I've got that I don't play that often. I mainly stick to a P bass, jazz bass, and that's about it. On my Duff McKagan copy that I made. But I can play the rest of them. But fretless is not a guitar that I would want to go and pay 300-400 quid for for it to sit there and not play it at all. So until you get used to it, I would just get a cheap guitar, pull the frets, level it, get it working nice, and then practice playing it, mess about with it, and then until you got it. I get some nice sounds with it. I like mess about with the electrics in this because, as I said, I've done it so it's more like a music man. So it's not go 2 volumes. To turn this off, you need to turn all the knobs off for it to work. So it's wild. Because I had a wire loom for a music man and said just to whack it in, just to get the thing working. But it sat up my mate's house. He didn't use it, so I went going in the night just to get the video on it. That's what I would suggest. If you want to have a wee shot of fretless, buy a cheap guitar, keep it as it says, keep repeating myself a wee bit, but cheap guitar, 20 quid, 30 quid or whatever, you can get a cheap one for, the one that you're not going to mind doing so much to. Plus, if you want to get used to doing your truss rod, doing your adjustments, and you've got another guitar that you've got working nice, it means you can do all your practice on that guitar, how to set it up, how to do your aim action, how to do your pickups, changing stuff about. It gives you something that you don't mind if you do any damage to it, you're not going to worry about it. It's a 20, 30, 50 pound guitar. You don't want to be doing stuff like that to even a Squire or even your expensive bass, but a cheap one. To mess about with, that's what I did. because worst case scenario, you do something wrong here, you've only paid 20 quid for it, you've ended up with spare pickups and knobs and stuff, and you can, if you want to, change the neck and then sort it out for it. So that's fretless. So it's easy to do. If any issues, I mean, if you want to do it yourself and any questions, you can just comment below and I'll answer your questions and guide you through how to do it. But that's a fretless that I made myself just to try it. Then I realised I don't like fretless. So that's it, fretless. The next one I'm going to show you, that might be in here. Next one I'm going to show you is one of the other guitars that I stick it in there, if I get my guitar. As I kind of messed about with. This is a guitar called a Season Pro. Don't know much about it. It's a heavy bass, heavy blow. It's a big lump of wood. I mean, it's a kind of strange bass because it's like a slab body like we get in the like kind of 50, the PB50 or the PB51 for Fender, or Harley Benton do a copy, which I'm wanting. I want one of them just to have a look at it, play it. It's a really slab body. It's a really wide neck. I've got this up for sale on Gumtree and Facebook. The specs are on it. I think it's a, just have a look now and show you. It's a 64 point, oh it's not 65 mil at the heel here. I mean that's wide. I mean I don't even think my 5-string is 65. So you could, there's a conversion kit that I was going to get from Wilkinson that converts your normal 4-string bass into a 5-string. And what it is where your string tree is, there's a locker there for the other end, so it basically flips one of your strings round. And I think, from what I remember, it's either the E, is it the E? It's either the E or A string. You buy obviously a set of strings for a 5-string, I think it's the A string. Is it the A or the E? One of them flips round and you put the string down there, string through, there's an adjuster here, you put the string through, you put it in and you clamp it down, and then you do your fine adjustment down here to tune it, then you end up with a 5-string. This would be the ideal for that, for making this into a 5-string. I reckon even without that, I reckon if I got a 5-string bridge, which I've got in one of my drawers, and put another tuner there, I reckon I could make this into a 5-string. What I did do with it is I had it as an 8-string P-bass. So I'll show you some of the stuff here first before I play a wee bit. So what I did was I drilled out, I've actually covered it up, I filled them and stuff like that now. I actually drilled with ukulele tuners at the back so it looked for the front, and then I've drilled out, if you see there, there's extra holes. I've drilled out extra holes for strings, and what I wanted, a normal 8-string bass is your normal strings first. No, if I remember correctly, it's your normal string and then your octave below string. But I wanted it the opposite way, because if you're playing with a pick, you want to be hitting your E string first before your octave below. So you're a normal 8-string bass, which Mad Malcolm's got one, his is the opposite. So his it sounds different on the way down than the way up. So I wanted to mess about it, but I did it. But the neck's not strong enough to hold that amount of string or that amount of tension. So what I did, I just converted it back to a P-bass. It's got really good pickups in it, good tuners. The headstock is P-bass style or Fender style, but slightly different. It actually looks kind of weird. This looks bigger than a normal P-bass. So, it's a nice bass. It'd be nice for somebody who's starting or just a beater for kicking about the house. I've got that many P bases. I'm just going to put it up for sale or swap. Somebody wants it. If it goes, doesn't. I'm only that bored. It's just I like there's a lot of different guitars. So this is this. Oh, turn my lamp down. So that's volume all the way up, tone all the way forward. See, the string space is really wide because of this the heel of this neck. I reckon I could probably convert this into a 5-string if I probably could actually. You could convert this into a 5-string easily by just moving the string spacing, new bridge, and cutting it up and adding a new tuner. I reckon you get away with it, no problem. I've got one. I don't want another 5-string, so I don't know. Tone all the way off now. It's quite wide, so I think if you played this for a good 6 months and then jumped onto another bass, I think you'd be string spacing would be quite easy. It's a nice bass. It's slab. I'm going to adjust that. I think I need to adjust that G string. It's a bit tiny. I think that maybe just needs adjusted up. I think I've put it too low. Nice guitar though. I mean, as I say, it's a really wide neck on this slab body. I was going to change the neck, but trying to find a 65 heel neck is hard. It's hard because they're normally about 62 to 63. So it's a nice guitar. It's obviously got a black bridge. It's got the old 70s style threaded rod style bridge here for saddles. It's got a new nut. I cut a new nut for it. Done a fret job on it. Pickups are original, but they're solid. They're really nice. Tone works, volume works. Got painted the scratch plate and kind of sanded it off a wee bit. Made it kind of. Why I did that is because it's got some dings and stuff in it, and I added black paint and then sealed it, so it looks kind of. And then that's my logo there. I put on everything. Black headstock, which is actually vinyl that I've just filled in, so it's matte. Did the back as well. Did that mainly because the holes in the other things you could look kind of see them, so I wanted to cover that. It's a nice bass. It's really wide. So you kind of get lost. You kind of get lost when you're playing because you're expecting the string to be closer if you're obviously playing a Squire or a Fender. Strings on it as well. I kind of reset it back up once I took the other 4 strings off it. I don't know, if it doesn't sell, I think maybe I might turn it into a 5-string and then put another video up to show show you it as a 5-string if it doesn't sell. Because I think it would be easy to it's that, as it says, it's that wide. I reckon I could get a 5-string bridge there, drill another hole, put another tuner there, cut a new nut, and I reckon it would be easily a 5-string P-bass. I don't think it'd be an issue. The strings wouldn't line up over the pole between the two poles, but it wouldn't really bother me. I don't know, we'll see. So that's my two guitars, my two kind of custom guitars that I did myself. Wee bit of dabbling there. Show you the headstock of this. So it's a wee kind of weird shape. It's got a nice bit of rosewood on there. But that's my P-bass. That's that one. It's really nice. I'll show you the fretless again. She's really. I say definitely if you want a fretless, I would just pick up a cheap guitar and just pull the frets. But just take your time. Heat up the frets before you, even if you're doing a refret, if you're ever going to decide to do a refret, always heat the frets up with an old soldering iron, just in case there's any glue there. Then pull the frets, and then what you would do is you'd get a triangle file, and then you would file the fret, so when you go to push the new fret in, it'd be easier to see. Obviously you need to recut the frets, because if you get glue and stuff in there, you want to clean the glue out and stuff like that. That's a different. But I would, if you're looking for a fretless, just pick yourself up a cheap bass, heat up the frets, pull the frets out, level the board, bit of catalog your body filler into the frets, re-sand it back down, recut your nut, reset your guitar up, set your truss rod up so it's got a bit of relief in it, and actually get a fretless, and you can mess about with that before you pay hundreds of pounds for a fretless bass. So there you go, that's my wee Sunday video. Wee bit of rant there, and wee bit of repeating myself, but obviously still getting used to talking to the camera and stuff. So hope you have a good week. See you next week. Remember to like and subscribe and ask your pals to. Yeah, I'll catch you later.